Good evening, I'm Kim Kalunian. Welcome to our 12 News special presentation, Cold Cases. Tonight, we'll take you inside Rhode Island's brand new cold case unit and show you how investigators are hoping to crack some of the state's toughest unsolved homicides. We'll also revisit cases that have left local families dealing not just with the grief of losing a loved one, but the frustration over a lack of answers. And later, for the first time, we examine a case that rocked a local community. A teen girl found brutally murdered. Her boyfriend confesses to the crime, but then a twist that's left friends, family, and police wondering to this day who killed Lynn Robin. But we begin tonight with a case that mystified investigators from the start. Who would want to kill a well-liked convenience store owner? 20 years later, it's a question that remains unanswered.
I'm here to show my hurt and my respect to her life, because she was a good person. Shouldn't happen to anyone.
It was around 8 o'clock the night of January 30th, 2004. 46-year-old Debbie was behind the counter at her convenience store, the West End Mart on Buckland Street in Providence, when someone came in and fired a single shot.
We're speaking with the other people over there.
Is anybody else injured?
No.
Lots of gatherings. Every holiday we were at my mom's house, still are.
Debbie was one of 6 kids. Her siblings say she was a hard worker, proud of the store she opened not long before her death, and devoted to her customers.
She would give them cigarettes and say, hey, come back Friday, pay me. She would always want to try and take care of other people.
The night of Debbie's death, her family gathered for her parents' anniversary. It was a surprise party for 50 years. Debbie called to say she couldn't make it. She had to work.
And the next thing you know, we get a phone call saying that something had happened to Debbie. And so we went to my mother's house, and we were greeted by the Providence Police Department. And it was brought up to us that she was killed and shot.
Providence Police Captain Roger Aspinall says detectives at the time looked at multiple potential theories, including a robbery gone wrong, but nothing was stolen.
But at this time, it's still ongoing, so I would say that everybody is a suspect till we can rule them out.
Investigators say DNA was found on evidence at the scene. It was tested at the time, again in 2014, and is being re-examined right now. About a decade before Debbie Tyrell's murder, a young mother was discovered dead in her East Providence apartment. A question that haunts her daughter to this day: was it an accident or something more sinister? March 1993, police arrive to the third-floor apartment of Lori Mallaloy and find a strange scene. The door ajar, the faucet running in the bathroom where she was found. Tufts of hair litter the floor, and slices of bread are scattered around Lori's nude body. A police report from the time says the detective division is investigating this matter as a homicide. But the medical examiner said 30-year-old Lori died of natural causes, finding no major injuries or drugs in her system. He listed the cause of death as hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, a heart condition. The case was closed. Fast forward 27 years when Lori's daughter Lauren got an unexpected message from an old friend of her mom's.
She said, hey, you know that story everybody told you about her having a heart attack? Well, that was a lie. She was murdered and the state got it wrong.
The call sparked what became a nearly 3-year effort to get her mom's case reopened. In 2022, Lauren had another forensic pathologist look at her mom's autopsy report. In an email, he told her more investigation is needed and the originally listed cause of death is unlikely to be correct. Now, East Providence police say they are awaiting the updated findings from the medical examiner and guidance from the Attorney General.
You know, everybody always says, I hope that you'll find some closure through this. I don't think, and I agree with a lot of detectives I've spoken with, I don't think there is such a thing as closure, but we can go for justice.
Lauren is hopeful to have answers from the state soon. Diana Garlington has been waiting more than 12 years for answers. Her daughter Essence was killed in a drive-by shooting, a tragedy that's pushed Diana to work tirelessly to try and prevent more senseless killings. The last time Diana Garlington heard her daughter's voice, it was late the night after Thanksgiving, 2011.
Her voice was different. She was a little shaky.
About an hour after that phone call, there was a knock on Garlington's door. Her daughter had been shot.
I was actually just thinking like maybe I was just dreaming or something like that until I actually got to the hospital.
Doctors told Garlington 21-year-old Essence Crystal was dead. The reality still haunts Garlington more than 10 years later. She says Essence was driving her boyfriend and another man down Broad Street when shots fired from another car riddled the driver's side of hers. Essence lost control, crashed into a tree, and rolled the car onto its roof. The two men in the car with her survived.
We would have liked the men to give us some sort of idea or some sort of anything, any sort of information they had, but they did not.
Since her daughter's death, Garlington has worked as a community organizer, most recently founding the group Safer Communities for Justice in an effort to solve unsolved homicides like Essence's.
Her family needs justice. We need to bring these individuals to face what they've done.
While Garlington grieves her daughter, Myle Stutton grieves her father. He was a Russian immigrant trying to make a better life for his kids, but a cold-blooded killing inside Rose's Express restaurant changed all that in an instant. July 7th, 1986, on Post Road in North Kingstown, 47-year-old Myle Stutton, a husband and father, had closed up his restaurant for the day and was waiting for an AC repairman. By the time he arrived, Myle's American dream was cut short. He had been shot 4 times at close range with a small caliber handgun. There were no signs of a struggle, and it's not clear if anything was stolen.
I was numb. My father was taken from me. He never could walk me down the aisle. He could never hold my babies. Everything that I wanted my dad for and to be with, he couldn't be here for.
Police say their list of suspects has been limited, with no indication Myle had any enemies or dangerous acquaintances.
It could have been just someone passing through, or it could have been someone he knew. We're leaving all our cards on the table.
No witnesses came forward, and North Kingstown police are urging anyone who might have information to speak up.
The littlest, tiniest thing can break one of these cases wide open. So any kind of information we can get coming forward is going to help us, maybe put the puzzle back together.
Still to come, a son, brother, and soon-to-be father shot through his home's window.
We miss him, and we love him. He's in God's hands now.
And then he carried her casket.
He carried her casket.
The latest in a case where DNA led investigators to the victim's half-brother 20 years after the grisly crime. Plus,
if you heard of this happening, you would never think it would happen to her.
The murder of a Pawtucket teen just before prom. Close to 60 years later, her friends and family are still waiting for answers. Closure is typically the main thing that families of these cold case victims want. And now a new unit in the Rhode Island Attorney General's office is hoping to provide that to the countless families seeking it. Inside this Howard Avenue building in Cranston, you'll find a weekly meeting of the minds. Prosecutors and investigators coming together with a single mission, solving the state's toughest cold cases.
These are cases where families have been waiting for answers for a very, very long time.
It's a brand new unit formed in September after Attorney General Peter Nerona made a public push to get funding from the state.
When I ask for 20 lawyers and I get none in the governor's budget, I ask, why not?
After that initial rejection by the governor, Speaker Joe Shekarchi greenlit the spending, mostly supported by settlement money won by the AG's office.
Yeah, so this is Stale and Codis.
Now it's time to get to work. The office has assembled a team of criminal prosecutors and investigators with both state and federal experience, charged with chipping away at the mountain of unsolved crimes.
None of them are easy, otherwise they wouldn't be called. But some have, if you will, more immediate promise than others, and so we're trying to focus on those first.
I asked Nerona how many cold cases there are in Rhode Island, and he said more than they can count. One of them is Juny Johnson. He was sitting at home on his couch when bullets tore through his window. In 2007, 21-year-old Juny Johnson was expecting his first child, a son he never got to meet.
That's one night rather, that stays in my mind forever.
It was October 5th. Johnson was sitting on his living room couch when someone fired multiple shots through the window of his Wisdom Avenue apartment.
I mean, he didn't have beef with anybody, and they shot my little brother.
Johnson's brother Oscar lived with him at the time but wasn't home.
When I got back to the house, it was already taped off. There was an ambulance leaving. There was another ambulance there.
Johnson's pregnant girlfriend was also inside.
When the guns rang, she was walking in, and he went to, block her, and he ended up getting all the shots because he wanted to protect her. He wanted to protect that baby.
Just knowing that they really stole the chance for this very smart young man to be able to have that guidance in his life, because he definitely is missing that.
Providence police say they have suspects and are still working this case. Across the border in Massachusetts, a suspect awaits trial for the murder of his half-sister. It was a case that was cold for 20 years until a major break in 2021. That's when we spoke with the victim's family. Accompanied by his uncle, Robert Moniz visits the grave of his beloved mother, Rosemary. The New Bedford mother was 41 years old when she was robbed and murdered inside her Acushnet Avenue home. It was March 2001. Robert was 18 and had quietly come home after a late night out with friends. He went upstairs to bed, not knowing his mother had been brutally killed. It was Rose's father who made the discovery the next morning.
I woke up to him screaming, saying, your mother's dead, your mother's dead. What I saw, can't get out of your mind, ever.
There were no signs of forced entry into the home, and suspicion fell directly on the teenage Moniz.
That was one of the worst feelings for me, thinking about that and thinking that I might possibly go to jail for something like that. And almost it got in the way of me even grieving normally for her.
DNA newly discovered inside a conch shell used in the fatal beating matched with 53-year-old David Reed. Reed is Rose's half-brother, born out of an extramarital relationship had by Rose's father, the same man who discovered his daughter's body that March day.
I always told my mother and father, we're going to find out who it was. We'll find out. I'm glad they're not here to know, because that would have killed them.
Knowing his half-brother now stands accused of his sister's murder is a bitter pill to swallow.
The day of the wake and the funeral, they were both pallbearers for my sister. It was all the boys, the 4 boys of us and those 2 boys.
He carried her casket.
He carried her casket.
Fred and Robert tell me closure hasn't arrived just yet, but it's closer than ever, though Robert still wishes he could relay this message to his mom.
Sorry I didn't come home that night, and I wish I was around more, but when you're young in that age, it's... But, yeah, I just would hug her and wouldn't let her go.
Still to come, Lynn Robin never got to graduate high school or attend her senior prom.
The hurt was just overbearing.
But who took her life? The search for answers continues nearly 6 decades later when we come back. Horrific crime splashed across the front pages of the local papers. Teen beauty found slain. She was Lynn Robin, and nearly 60 years after her death, her friends and family still think about this case every day. It was a roller coaster, the murder, a confession, and then an acquittal. leaving unanswered the question, who killed Lynn Robin? In the spring of 1966, Lynn Robin was a typical high school senior.
That's Lynn.
She loved going to Bobby's roll-away with her friends and was getting ready to go to her senior prom and graduate from West High. Her friends, Cheryl Amaral and Mary Parker, said everyone liked her.
Probably the sweetest girl you could meet.
Lynn was one of 4, the second oldest and only girl in the Robin family. Her brother Michael says they bonded over music. It was a simple childhood in Pawtucket.
You know, hanging out with friends and sandlot baseball, things like that.
And so, May 7th, 1966 was like any Saturday night. Lynn drove her boyfriend to the Lonsdale Drive-In, and by 11:30, her car was back in the driveway of her Garden Street home. Mary's now husband remembers seeing her pull in.
He saw her pulling in the yard. He was actually going to go over there, and he goes, oh, it's too late. So we turned and went home.
But Lynn never made it inside. The following day, when her parents noticed her car in the driveway but no signs of their daughter, they reported Lynn missing. It would only be a few hours before they got the devastating news.
The police came to my home and informed my parents. And I think my father had to go identify, and that was just, I just can't imagine. I don't even know how you did. I can't even imagine. Just thinking about it just bothers me so much.
The shock of Lynn's sudden death stunned the Robin family. Michael says it was like a light went out inside his mother.
Through the rest of her life, it was just something she carried, just, we all carried, you know.
News of Lynn's death quickly began to spread. Mary remembers hearing it first on the radio.
When I was driving home through the city, I couldn't have heard it right. I just stopped and I'm parked on the sidewalk waiting for them to repeat it, and they did. And that's it. I had to stay there for a while. I couldn't even drive.
Police say the teen's body was found near the Brown Boathouse on River Drive, a known lover's lane at the time. Investigators say she had been stabbed roughly 40 times with a weapon that could have been a screwdriver. But police never found that weapon or Lynn's car keys or handbag. Her friends started to wonder who would want to kill an innocent girl.
Everybody just assumed somebody that she knew was waiting there, because she wouldn't have just gotten a car with anybody.
But in a twist that stunned Lynn's closest classmates, police announced they had a signed confession from Lynn's killer. Who was the alleged culprit? Lynn's boyfriend. Investigators say he admitted to stabbing Lynn with a knife during an argument over prom. The confession, as reported in the newspapers at the time, came on May 8th at 10 p.m., just 6.5 hours after Lynn's body was found.
He didn't do it, period.
Lynn's friends are adamant to this day that Lynn's boyfriend was not the man responsible. Shortly after the confession, the boyfriend said he had been coerced by investigators into signing it. It was something a jury would ultimately believe. With an alibi from his brothers, no murder weapon, and no witnesses, a jury of 7 women and 5 men took less than 9 hours to deliberate. They found him not guilty.
It is a cold case because no one has been convicted.
Providence Police Major David LePayton says when a jury acquits a suspect, investigators get right back to work.
You know, they decided he was not guilty, the jury, so we have to abide by that. So what we do is we go right back to the drawing board from day one, back to the case, and we try and use everything we can find from the court records to try and help us maybe going in a different direction.
Police have to go in a different direction because the same person cannot be tried again for a crime of which they're acquitted. In the case of Lynn's boyfriend, he was released from prison after his acquittal and went on to live what was by all accounts a normal and quiet life. He died in 2011. His family declined our requests for an interview.
I saved everything. Every article I could get my hands on, I saved.
Lynn's friends are hopeful police will someday name a new suspect, but they know the passage of time could work against them.
I've always said, you should try and find something out for Lynn, something, have something happen for her. And if it you know, nothing comes out of it, at least
we tried.
We've tried to do something for her, that she's not forgotten.
That's why Michael says he wanted to speak out about his sister's case too.
I think I kind of owe it to my sister too, because I don't want her memory. You know, I know we buried so much about her over the years because of the hurt and the pain, and so I feel like there would be some kind of a closure to do this.
There are so many families who are hoping for closure, and you may be able to help them. To see our coverage of dozens of other cold cases from both Rhode Island and southeastern Massachusetts, just go to WPRI.com. Thank you for watching. Good night.